Welcome to the Homegroup podcast, where we discuss everything addiction, recovery, mental health. I am Flip.
And I am Luke. Our generation of men, you're not allowed to have feelings.
We're going to talk about things that are uncomfortable, things that are scary, because when you talk about it, you take away its power.
The only thing that's going to keep me clean is me not wanting to be who I was then.
We was in the trenches, now look how we out here ballin'. Popped up in the max, now we flooring in
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Homegroup podcast. I am Flip. Clean date, April Fool's 2016.
I am Jack. My clean date is also April Fool's 2016.
Crazy. So crazy, dude. That's wild. When did we... How much clean time did we have? Like 2.5 years when we met? 2 years?
I'm a little offended because it was way less than that, dude.
Was it?
It was like 4 months, dude.
Really?
Yes. It was like 6 months, maybe.
Damn.
You were just out of rehab.
Well, that explains it.
We met at Tijuana Flats.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, God. Back in the good old days.
Yeah, Taco Tuesday.
Back in the good old days. So, a couple things. Want to do a little life check-in. I have a feeling my son is going to be a bank robber.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why.
That's like the ceiling.
I'm gonna tell you why. So you know he don't eat none, right?
Yeah.
Well, he likes Five Guys because he likes the grilled cheese there, right? So I took him there.
Grilled cheese?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You can actually do a grilled cheese hamburger at Five Guys.
We order it. Why have you not told me about
I
this?
know, dude. I know, it's wild. But they have the boxes of peanuts, so I made him try a peanut. Right? I'm like, dude, it's a peanut. Like, just try it. And he tried it, and he liked it. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, they got a little bit of protein. Like, eat as much peanuts as you want, right? Well, he goes to Gigi's house, and she got the big Sam's Club tubs of peanuts, right? And so he's eating them and stuff. So he came home tonight. He was like, yo, will you take me to Gigi's to get some peanuts? I said, yeah, dude. So we hopped in the truck, rode over there. I said, go inside, get the peanuts. I'm waiting in the truck. So he's in there for a couple minutes. I see him come to the door. I see him look around, and he's got the whole tub of peanuts, dude. And he goes, closes the door, and he's running to the truck, looking over his shoulder, dude. Both ways. He opens the door. He said, come on, we got to go. She's coming. She's coming. I said, dude, did you just hit a lick on some peanuts? He said, we got to go. Stop talking. Drive. I said, oh, God. Already, dude.
We've all done that, though.
I know. I know.
Maybe not at that age, man. He's starting a little early.
I know.
I was at least a
dude.
teenager before I pulled that move.
God bless it, dude. Other than that, adulting. I went to the primary care doc. You know, I got health insurance now, so I was like,
What's that like?
weird, dude. So weird. And I went to the doc, dude. And so like I got my nose all messed up, and probably from copious amounts of drug use. I don't really know what it's from, but like I could only breathe out of like one nostril. And so I started using Afrin. You heard of Afrin?
The spray stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been using it for like 2 months. Something told me like a week ago to check the label. You're only supposed to use it for 2 days, dude.
Really?
2 days.
What's in it? Has it got like steroids in it or something?
What's in that stuff? I don't know.
I mean, it can't be good if you're only supposed to use it for 2 days, dude.
But it's like over the counter, so I didn't think none of. Like I'm thinking it's like eye drops.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I go to the doc, and Sarah's like, you gotta tell her about that Afrin. And I said, okay, like whatever. She's like, no, promise me you'll tell her. I said, okay, I'll tell her. So I see this doc, and first of all, I'm at the age where I'm older than the doc I'm seeing. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about that. Okay? I have this physician assistant, and I'm like, how are you even old enough to see me? Like, what's going on here, right? And I said, so listen, I said, I'm using Afrin. She said, oh, God. Just like that. I said, oh, God. She said, how long you been using it?
How long you been hooked?
I said, well, you see, what happened was I didn't know, and I've been using it for 2 months. She said, oh, God. She said, we're going to have to detox you. I said, huh? She said, we're going to have to detox you. Detoxing off Afrin's no joke. And I said, listen, I said, with all due respect, I said, I detoxed off heroin. I ain't afraid of no Afrin. She said, okay. You think it's a joke? She said, I got to consult with the doctors and come up with a plan for you. I'm like, is this real life, dude? Yeah, no, it's real life because I guess the Afrin stops your like nasal cavities from naturally like clearing themselves out and like lubricating themselves. So like I'm fucked up in the game, dude. I got 8 years clean and I'm going to detox, dude. For some damn Afrin, dude.
That's the same as like when the women had the problem with the chapstick.
Yeah.
And then they're always complaining that their lips are dry.
Yeah.
Because they use too much chapstick.
Well, that's my wife, dude.
That's
Every woman
on earth.
If you go in my truck right now, there is
Burt's Bees.
Burt's Bees on both sides of the floorboard, in both door handles. There's bathroom. Just about every drawer in our house, dude. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's bad.
Our coworker has an emotional support chapstick. That's what she refers to it as.
That's wild. That's wild. So, yeah, I gotta go get blood work done. And I gotta go back on the 14th, and I gotta have a physical, dude. Now here's the thing.
Ooh.
Here's the thing. I don't know how to feel about it.
They're gonna put their finger in your butt?
I don't know what they're gonna do, dude. But I mean, I'm 38 years old. I know it ain't good.
Female or male?
I just told you it's a female.
Female, right? Okay. Well, you said a young. Female.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I would prefer it be a dude.
Yeah, like an old man.
Yeah, dude.
Like a grandpa.
Yeah, like what the? This is messed up, dude. I'm all sorts of fucked up in the game. But other than that, what's been going on with you?
Same shit, different day.
That's
Questioning my existence on a regular basis. What I'm doing with my life. Where I'm gonna be at in 5 years. Where I'm gonna be at in 5 minutes. I don't know. About everything, man. Had a crazy guy give my girlfriend 6 love letters.
Yikes. That ain't good.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So is he planning on wearing her face or what?
I mean, yeah, it got a little weird. Progressively got weirder. So.
Okay.
Had to shut that down.
Yeah, of course. Got to.
Yep.
Got to.
So, other than that, it's been pretty mundane.
Yeah.
Pretty mundane.
Those of you that don't know, I know you heard me talk about coaching flag football. This is my other coach. Me and Jack been coaching for it's our 7th season now, dude. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? 7th season we've been coaching these little
They
rugrats.
hooked us in the first year, dude.
Yeah, first year we won the championship. Ain't been back since.
Hooked us.
Yeah. So we got a game tomorrow, dude. Big game.
Big game. Biggest game of the year.
Super pumped about that.
Pulling out all the stops.
I know. It's cool. It's the stuff we get to do today, though. You know what I mean? It's the gifts of recovery, so to speak. You're building a townhouse?
Yep. That's coming up. Just to put it the drywall. Got email for the drywall.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy to think about is, like, if you look back when we first met, we were in absolute shambles.
Oh, yeah.
Not that we're, like, better now. We just have more stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, nowhere. If you would have asked me back then if, like, my life would be where it is today, like, it wouldn't even fathom. Like, I couldn't even fathom it.
No.
So, just super cool. But there are some things that I'm excited to talk to you about. Obviously, we've been friends for a number of years. You gave a best man speech at my wedding.
Crushed it, by the way.
Yeah, you did crush it, dude. God,
Crushed
that was
it.
so good. Such a good speech. Normally, those speeches, like, I cringe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was a little worried because you are a bit of a loose cannon. You know what I mean?
So here's the thing. So I am known to just seat of my pants, just kind of figure it out as I go.
Yeah.
But, and had it been the boys or, you know what I mean? Like, I probably would have, but I'm like, nah, her mom's going to be there. Like, there's going to be, like, a bunch of people I don't know. And, like, after I give the speech, I can't just leave. So, like, I can't really go in. Bro, I was watching videos, which is more than I have ever done in my, like, through school. I didn't study for anything. It's the only time I've ever studied. I'm, like, watching speeches, and I'm like, what's proper and what's not proper? So I was like, all right, you can put in some good ones, but not too personal, not, like, inside jokes, but they got to be good. So, yeah, I crushed it.
Yeah. So, and, through this journey, we've experienced things, good, bad, indifferent. But something that, I wanted to talk to you about is you've been through some difficult stuff in recovery. Specifically, you were married and you got divorced.
Yeah, did both. Did both
Yeah.
in recovery. Well, I'm saying
Yeah.
I didn't get married. I didn't dupe a woman while I was using into marrying me and then divorce.
Yeah.
All in recovery. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I did love the you had the Moe's catered at the wedding. That was
power
dope.
play.
That was super
Power
power
play. Balling on a budget.
Yeah. That was dope.
Yeah.
But you know, it's in this day and age, like divorce is super common. It's almost
Weird to be together for a really long time.
yeah, like it's just unheard of, right?
You look at them funny. Like, you've been together for 27 years?
Yeah, like what's really going
Yeah.
on?
Which one of you let a bunch of shit slide that this just continued?
But not only did you go through a divorce, and not that I want to see anybody, let alone somebody that I care about, go through something like that, but from the sidelines, right, from an outside perspective, I watched you like go through emotional hell,
Oh, yeah.
right? And you were in like a bad mental space there for a while, and then to dig yourself out of it and come out on the other side has been super, super cool to see. Obviously, don't want you to go through that, but you know, talk to me a little bit about what that was like going through that and having to stay clean through that. Like, did you ever think about getting high? Like what's going through your mind?
There's a throat clear
Yep.
again. So yeah, you know, like the beautiful part is, you know, you get to meet people that are going to be in your life for a long time, right? Which is people in this room, some bunch of people that are not in this room that I wouldn't trade the world for, and sometimes that's a relationship with a significant other. You know, hopped into one of those pretty quick, and kind of, you know what I mean? Like they say, the gifts of recovery, and then I've also, and I'm sure I'm gonna butcher it how they say it, but you know, I've heard people say, you know, don't let the gifts of recovery be the reason you lose recovery, right? And like, that's kind of what happened, right? Like I got a good paying job, and you know, I bought a house, and you know, I have this wife, and she's a professional. You know, she's got a couple kids. I'm in my daughter's life again, and like all these beautiful things, and I'm like, life's pretty sweet, dude, to be like clogging it up with this recovery stuff. You know what I mean? Like, ugh, I'll get to it when I get to it. You know, and the fact is, like, that's where my growth stopped for a while, and then, you know, we kind of did that for a few years, right? And like we were super close throughout all of that, and then it kind of just happened, right? And a situation happens, and you know, you're already like teetering a little bit on the edge of like sticking in this thing, and then, you know, a situation that maybe isn't catastrophic but can be used as like a reason to like blow everything up. And we did that, and you know, I remember I found out she was dating somebody else. That's when it got bad, right? Like, cause like tried this song and dance of back and forth a little bit, and then she started dating somebody that I knew, and I called you, and met you and Luke at the gym. I was like, dude, I was like crying and like yelling and angry and sad and all these emotions, right? And I don't know how to understand. I just went into the gym, got probably the fattest I've ever been, dude. I mean, you get fat and happy to have relationships. Quit working outside, you know what I mean? I never realized how much weight I put on. You know, and did that, well, like before that official thing, or around that time, there was one time I thought about using. And so for me, the beautiful thing is, like, I've relapsed a couple times to get my clean date to what it is now. And at no point other than, and including this point really, did I ever have an illusion that I could use, like even somewhat successfully, right? Like that illusion was shattered, because in both my relapses, as soon as I got high, like not the next day or like when the money ran out, like I literally would have like 50 or $100 in my pocket. I'd have a little bit of dope, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so broken.
Yeah.
Like that was like the goal when you're getting high, like a little bit of money in your pocket, a little bit of dope left over, and you're under the influence, and it was so broken. So like the illusion was gone, and I went to go pick up like the last of my things, right? And like, I'm like, nah, I gotta throw this Hail Mary real quick. You know what I mean? And was like, listen, let me put it all out there, right? Be vulnerable, like accept that maybe this rejection's coming, because I had you know me, I'm real good at not allowing myself to be vulnerable. Because that's like a fear of mine, of being vulnerable, and that rejection and the pain and the looking stupid from, you know, my issues from kid that I haven't dealt with or whatever, or don't deal with very great. And I remember getting my stuff and I spilled my guts, and it was like, listen, and it was so close to like maybe trying it, and I was like, nah, I can't. And I was like, all right. And I left, and I was sitting in my truck, and I was like, you know, like I'm right here. Literally on the way home, it's like my old stomping grounds. Like, I can go get high right now. And it wasn't that I could use successfully now.
Yeah.
It was the pain is enough that I don't care that I'll do it. And I made one phone call, because you may not know this, but anytime after 9:30, we don't call Flip.
No.
Because he's asleep, okay? So he would have been my call, for the record. But I called somebody else, and that person was at work, and they immediately made like 3 or 4 other phone calls. And then I got some phone calls. It was like talking, right? So I left. And that was the most difficult time, right? And got through that. And the only thing I knew to do was to run back into like recovery full speed. And like, I'm not too proud to walk into a meeting and cry. Like, because I've watched people do it, and I'm like, you know, I respect that. And it wasn't a cry of like, woe is me, look at poor me, but it was like a crying out of this regret and like this resentment I had for myself for allowing myself to get in the situation that I was in, you know, and get it out there, right? Because I try to, and somebody had said this, a friend of ours said it one time, we were doing service work, was, you know, I sit in it for a little bit, right? Because that's where I'm most comfortable, is sitting in my own pain. And then I share it like with my sponsor, and then I share it on a group level, and then I might share it in a meeting if I feel it necessary. And that was like the process I had went through, right? So I sat in it for a long time. I shared it with like a couple people really close to me, and then it ended up being like, let me go, you know what I mean, step into the rooms on a more regular basis, and tell people where I'm at, right, and get vulnerable. And it's been pretty good since then, you know, trials and tribulations. But yeah, that was difficult. You know, wonderful woman, still, you know, cool with her now.
I tell you what's the coolest thing, and I don't understand it. I just haven't been in that situation, but like, I know firsthand, right? And it's not like, kids are a lot, right? And especially like them not being your biological kids, there was some conflict due to that, right? There's conflict, kids, biological or not, because kids are assholes, right? That's just what it is. And still to this day, like, if those kids need anything, they call you and you're there. And like, that is like mind-blowing. You know what I mean? Because it's like the way things ended was tough. You know what I mean? And to see you do that, right? Like, for instance, 4th of July, the son's probably going to be with you. You know what I mean? He comes to our house for 4th of July every year. You know what I mean? And like, that's just so cool to me. And like, I commend you for that. What I will say is, and I know this might be hard to believe, people, but I don't deal the best when people don't take my advice, right? And
that's the only time I've ever seen you really get upset with me,
bro. And here's the thing, right? And it's something that I've tried to figure out, right? Is like, why, when there's people that I care about that are not necessarily continuing to make the same mistake, but like can't see what I see,
putting themselves through that pain. Yeah,
and like, I get so frustrated. And I think what a lot of it is it's like the you spot it, you got it type deal. And it's like, I've done those things. You know what I mean? Like, Ann will tell you when, you know, we were trying to get him clean, like I was rough on him. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, Jack, so it was me, Luke, and Jack that did the 12-step call on Ant, right? But that was the one and only time in our friendship since I've known you that, like, not only was I a complete insensitive asshole towards the whole thing, right? Because I can't imagine going through a divorce is easy, right? And not taking the time to understand that, like, you were already beating yourself up enough, right?
So bad.
Due to the whole thing. And, like, I was getting frustrated at the back and forth, right? Because I had to see it on a daily basis. We worked together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I had to see, like, the days where you were coming in and, like, you were happy because, like, you know, things were starting to work out. And then 2 days later, you're freaking miserable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was, like, the only time in our friendship where, like, we stopped talking for a little bit. You know what I mean? And I remember calling Babs. And I was like, yo, like, I don't get it. Like, how is he not seeing this, right? It's right in front of his face. Like, how many times is he gonna run into this wall until he realizes, hey, maybe I should walk around. You know what I mean? And of course, Babs just being Babs, right?
Dropped a little nugget on you.
He said, yeah, but, like, that's your friend, right? And I said, yeah. He says, so why can't you just listen? And I was like, damn, dude, like, I hate you. You know what I mean?
He's the worst
like,
with that, dude.
But, like, it's so true because, like, we all go through shit and we're all idiots in our own right and we all do stupid things. But that was, like, one thing that, like, I'm like, damn, dude. Like, when you needed your friends the most, like, I had just put that wall up. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I'm tired of seeing you make the same mistake. You're not going to learn. And, like, so I'm just going to distance myself. And that's completely the wrong thing to do in that situation because that is where you are the most vulnerable, right? And not that I was worried about you getting high, but, I mean, shit, we've gotten high over less.
Yeah,
over less.
Gotten high over the good things.
Yeah, man. So, but, yeah, man, that was a crazy time. But hindsight, right, to see you dive headfirst back into recovery and kind of go all in, put your chips all in, dude, and, like, to see the transformation has been so cool. And, like, you're just, like, you're a lot happier than you were, you know what I mean? And you're not complacent and you understand, you know what I mean, that mistakes are made and there's a way around it. Some I want to touch on. I don't know if you want to touch on.
I don't know where this is going. We're going to find out.
Yeah. But you said it a little bit, so I'm treating it like, I always forget what it's called, but in the courtroom, like, if somebody opens the door to something, like, you can use it. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? It's like
I do, and it's gonna bother me, and I'm gonna have to Google it.
I want to say it's like some, like, fruit of the forbidden tree or something like that. Like, it's called something weird like that, where, like, if you open a door, then it's free game.
Yeah, like, once you go on the stand, then everything you've ever done is opened up.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what this is what it feels like.
Yeah. You're screwed. But you had said that you had some childhood stuff that you had never addressed, right? And that having conversations with you, and if you're not comfortable talking about it, just say so we can cut it out. But, like, explain, like what do you think some of your issues were? Because I know you've addressed it since in relationships, specifically dealing with women.
Oh, it's mom stuff.
Yeah,
100%. So. There's the throat clear. And for the record, I don't normally do it that bad, but I've been coughing for like 3 weeks. I don't know. I'm probably dying, so better to get on now before it's too late. You know what I mean? Have something to remember me by. So, love my mom, right? And that was like the problem. So I was mama's boy, through and through, dude. And, like, caused some issues with my sister because she felt like, you know, mom played favorites. You know, she's 7 years older than me. My sister is. I came along and she kind of got pushed to the side, to the back burner. So there was always some issues kind of with my sister, a little bit with me, or like resentments, right? But mom left when I was 8 or 9. Ended up starting a new family in a different state.
Mm.
You know what I mean, I got a couple sisters. And like, so being so close to my mom, and my dad is being, and like, it's funny now I can look back and like, I don't hold any resentments towards my parents, but for the longest time I used at my parents.
Yeah.
Right. Of like, you didn't, you know what I mean? I'm not comfortable expressing feelings around my dad, which like he never got to, you know what I mean? His whole life. So it's like, how could I be mad at him for not being able to let me do what he never knew what to do? But with mom leaving and me being so close to her and so vulnerable and loving her so much, it was like, and trying to get that love back again that I felt like I had lost, it turned into, well, like, that's never happening again.
Yeah.
I am never allowing a woman to get that close, right? For me to be that vulnerable and just kind of get shot down. And like, that's not what happened, right? I'm an adult and I can kind of see that now, right? Like, it's not the kids or the, you know, or a child is the reason maybe parents split up or anything, but like, that's how I felt as a kid, right? You couldn't tell me different. And I kept, you know, I mean, women at a distance, not friends. Yeah. I have some super, super close, some of my closest friends are women, right? Like rocks, which is weird. I can look at females and males as friends and be completely comfortable, right? I don't have to worry about the vulnerability of it. It's the intimate relationships, you know what I mean? The relationship I have with a woman that is my significant other that, you know, and that was one of the biggest problems in my marriage, right? And I didn't let that go. And I've done that my whole life. Something I still work on, something I work on to this day, and I'm still not great at it. You know, but I still work on it. Yeah, it's the vulnerability and the pain and trying to avoid that. And the biggest thing for me was coming into or leaving my marriage and like you said, that I had kind of taken so much of the burden of that relationship falling that, you know, I had stated many a time that like it's 100% on me, right? It's all my fault. And I look back, you know, everybody has their part, but I refuse to allow myself to be vulnerable in that relationship. And the hardest thing for me to deal with after that relationship was the fact that I felt like that was the main reason that we had gotten to the point of any little, like a ticking time bomb. As soon as something happened, it was going to go boom. And it did. And had I maybe been, you know, and the great part is, like, she's great, I'm great, like everybody's better off, so I'm super happy about that. But going through it and processing it when it was happening was like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, this is all me. If I was vulnerable and I was willing to give the love that I was receiving and like share that, maybe I wouldn't be here. And that was like, that pain of it feeling like it was my fault is way worse than anything else that I've done. I was like, I'm not doing that again. I refuse.
The crazy thing, right? And like, it's scary saying it because like we're all parents, right? But you, as a parent, don't realize how much of an effect you can have on your kids, right? Because like I had like dad issues, like my parents divorced when I was young, and like my dad, my biological father, never wanted to be like a full-time dad. He just wanted to be like the cool dad. He'd call me every couple months. Like I'd go see him like on a random holiday, and like he'd take me to like a theme park and like take me to a toy store and buy me a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, oh, dad's so cool, right? And I put him on this pedestal. And because of that, it caused turmoil with my relationship with my stepdad. Right, and it caused.
Who's the best, by the way?
Oh my God! Well, he's one of my best friends now. You know what I mean? I talk to him. Dude. I talk to him every single day. But it took me growing up and going through shit and like working on my shit with my biological father, right, to realize like this is what a father's supposed to be. You know what I mean? And because of that, like, it caused issues with my relationship with guys, right? Because the second that I felt that they weren't showing me, like, the loyalty or the support that I was giving them, like, I'm playing it back through, like, oh, you're just going to be like my dad and just disappear for months on end. And, you know, you just want to be there when shit's good. That's it.
Right.
You don't want to be there through the thick of it, like, when things aren't going good. And, like, it's scary, like, being a parent now, because I'm constantly like second guessing myself. Like, am I making the right decision? Did I handle this situation the right way? You know what I mean? Am I doing the right things? Because at the end of the day, like kids, I mean, they're growing and they're learning and they're trying to figure out how to process emotions. And I mean, like, bro, we remember what it was like to be 16, 17, 18 years old. Like
Some of it.
I had life figured out. You couldn't tell me shit about nothing.
100%.
You couldn't tell me anything. Like, I know how the world works.
Yeah.
I don't want school. I want to work. Like, I'll pay bills.
Yeah, I felt like I could have showed Dr. Phil a thing or two.
Yeah,
you know what
dude.
I mean?
Like,
I had it.
And you know what I mean? I was so wrong, right? And so it's interesting to me. Like, a lot of us addicts have some sort of parental issue in some sort, you know what I mean? Or some sort of trauma that we're trying to work through that rears its head in different ways in this recovery journey. So, I thought that was interesting, and it's I know it's been an issue for you that you've definitely tried to work on, is like that stuff from your childhood and not wanting to get vulnerable with women. Like, what does that look like today? Like, what does that look like in relationships you have now? Like, is it still a work in progress? Are you better? Is it something you're open about?
So it was kind of something that I already knew, going into that long-term relationship that I was married in. And so here's the thing. I am my father, like, volume up to 10, right? So, like, the sarcasm, the slick mouth in general, the, short temper. This is what I was, the short temper, which I could still have, and the walls. It's the same thing my father had. So not only was it the mom thing, but it's also what I saw. Yeah. And I was fully aware of it going in, but the way the relationship was built was like I was put on a pedestal by her, but I had no business being on a pedestal because I didn't have a car, I didn't have a license. At the time, I don't think I had a job. Like, really, I was like working part-time for my dad. Like, I had nothing going on. So I don't know what on earth made me think that I deserved to be on a pedestal. So, like, I had that dynamic, and I thought, I'm like, so then when things started to change or like was asked to change, and I'm like, we got a good thing going on here. Like, I'm really digging this vibe. Like, I'd rather just stay here. And so, like, I was aware or conscious of it, so now I have to be conscious enough to, when I'm a little, like, be uncomfortable and be a little bit emotionally available and be emotionally present, and also talk about my emotions, and not just, the bad ones, but the good ones of, like, I care, or I'm excited, or I miss you, or all those things that make you feel like if they were to shoot it down, you'd feel stupid. But I would much rather feel stupid in the moment, and then afterward, if something doesn't work out, to say I did everything I could. Because saying like I could have done more is the worst, because now it's already it's out of my hands. I can't change it, and now I'm sitting going, oh, what if, which is what used to get mad at me about. I'm like, well, if I, it's all right, fine. What if I would have done this to me? You're like, man, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, get over it, dude. And like, love you guys, but you guys aren't the best at giving advice, because we haven't done any of these, you know what I mean? We're just figuring it out as we go. And like, I was actually talking to somebody after the meeting tonight, and when you were talking about the, what I think how somebody should act, and I was talking to somebody who was upset with somebody else that they were close to, and I pointed out, which they got mad about, because nobody likes to be pointed out things of like, hey, listen, and you're like, motherfucker, you're right, dude, whatever. Like, sometimes I can't expect, if I expect Ant out of Ant, and then he falls short, that's one thing. But it's on me if I'm expecting, and not that he's not or anything, but just to use people in the room, if I'm expecting Jack out of Ant and then he doesn't like do Jack, like and act like Jack, I can't be mad at anybody but myself for having that expectation, right? So like, I try not to have an expectation on, well, I do this, like somebody else needs to do that, and I do that in my relationships, because I'm all of them.
Yeah, no, expectations, you're setting yourself up for failure. You know what I mean?
Resentments.
It's interesting, though, that because you are, like, such an open book with the people that you're close with, right? Like, you have no problem showing emotion to, like, us, right? Which you would think being, and guys are notoriously bad at this, right? Like, you want to put on a front for your boys. Like, I don't want my boys to see that, like, I'm struggling. And that's probably, you know, recovery has helped tremendously with that. Because, like, we're all pretty much an open book. Like, we have no problem. Like, I have no problem coming in and saying, like, yo, I'm in a bad spot. And it's interesting that somebody that you have an intimate relationship with, it's a little more difficult. You know what I mean? Because you would think that, like, oh, I don't want to get looked at different from, you know, my peers. But somebody that's seen, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, and had that intimate relationship with, that you kind of are a little hesitant to show that vulnerability.
Trust.
Yeah.
It's a trust thing.
Yeah, dude, which, you know, leads back to the childhood thing, which, and it's crazy, and I say this all the time, and there's people that disagree with me, right? And shit, I even disagree with myself on this sometimes, but that's the one thing that, like, I'm grateful about being an addict, because being, you know, in recovery and, like, going in rehab and, like, being forced to look at that man in the mirror, like, there's a lot of people that, you know, they don't have to do that. Their life isn't in shambles like that. You know what I mean? Like,
It's good enough.
yes. You know what I mean? And they're never it's something about being a grown adult in rehab again. You know what I mean? Like, losing everything again, that, like, okay, like, I can keep going down this, or I can just try to figure this out. And, like, figuring it out as you go, you can start to connect the pieces and see, like, okay, like, this is where this issue stems from. Now, how do we figure it out and move forward, right? And a lot of it is, for me at least, it was just having the understanding of, like, not using it as an excuse, but, okay, I'm falling short here. I think it's due to this. Now, how do we correct it moving forward, right? And so a lot of it is for me, talking about it and just kind of getting out in front of it and, like, hey, listen, like, I'm feeling this way. I think it's because of this, and kind of trying to problem solve, right? Something that happened today. So I met with all, like, kind of the newer people today at work, right? And just kind of, how you feeling about everything? What are you struggling with? You know what I mean? Like, is there anything that I can help you with? And one of our newer guys was like, you know what's so cool about working here? And I was like, what? You know, like, you don't have to butter up.
Where's this going?
You don't have to butter up to me. Like, I ain't nobody, dude. You know what I mean? And he was like, everybody here's like a problem solver. He's like, you know, like, if there's, like, an issue, like, it's not fend for yourself. Like, everybody kind of helps each other, and you guys are, like, problem solvers. And I'm like, yeah, it's because a majority of us are addicts. You know what I mean? Like,
we had a problem, which is our life was pretty much gone, and we're trying to figure out, like, what to do. Like, we live right across from, like, a, you know, I don't know what they would call that, like a recovery thing, or like a homeless.
Yeah, it's like a homeless recovery outreach.
Yeah, I go out there. I had to pick up a pair of shoes up there one time. I don't know if I told you that. Yeah, I had to pick up a pair of shoes out of there when I left jail because they did not let me put on shoes.
Yeah.
I was barefoot, man, and I'm sitting out there, and I'm like, these people probably think I'm just some
Schmuck.
asshole going up to his fancy office at the top, not knowing I've been right over there in that line talking to that same guy that's been there for 30 years.
Yeah.
He don't recognize me because I was like 110 pounds, but I was there.
Yeah. And so it's so cool because, like, you get everyday problems. That's a cakewalk for us. You know what I mean? Because we've
second nature to try to fix it.
Yeah.
That's all we do.
And, you know, it's sometimes it causes, and I'm learning this with Tiffany, right? Because we'll talk, and, like, I try to solve all the problems. You know what I mean? Anytime she, like, has anything, like, I'm just sitting here giving unsolicited advice.
Yeah, like my divorce.
Yeah.
So the problem's still happening. It's still happening, dude. Like,
Yeah.
hey, listen, let me tell you what you should do.
But
I do the same thing. I do the same.
Well, yeah, but the cool thing, right, is like being in a position, right, going through that, trying to learn from it, and it's hard to kind of break that habit.
Yeah.
But then in the moment, getting called out on it, and like, so now I can ask like, okay, is this a vent session or do you want advice?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, I mean, I'm the king of unsolicited advice. You know what I mean?
It's usually pretty good. It's just a matter of if you want to hear it or not. It's good advice. You know what I mean?
So it's so crazy, dude. Like all of us and our stories and our backgrounds and where we have come from, and like to see us trying to do this thing we call life. You know what I mean? And navigate it. And I'm not saying that we're doing it successfully, but we're a hell of a lot better than we were.
More successful than I thought we'd ever be.
God bless, dude. God bless.
Ever be.
Yeah.
We were getting rides.
I know.
To meetings.
I know when you were talking about putting you on a pedestal and you didn't have a car and stuff like that. Like when I first got with Sierra, I didn't have a car. Like I was renting cars.
I remember you were renting.
You know.
Listen, so you were renting a car.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a Cadillac you had at the time. I was like, bro, this dude's got it figured out right here.
You know what's funny? Luke says that because that's when Luke was living out of his HHR. And like I would wear like a button-up shirt and a tie to work, not because like I wanted to, it's because we had a dress code.
Right.
But like I'm pushing a Cadillac and like I got some nice clothes, and like he says the same thing, like, damn dude, like this dude's got it figured out, right?
Yeah, this dude's doing things.
And the only reason I was renting cars is because my job paid me while I was in rehab because they felt bad. You know what I mean? Because like I was in recovery, I got sick, not because of using, and like I was dying.
Oh yeah.
For like months, and through that process,
Fundraiser flip.
Yeah, from that process, that led to my relapse, right? Mm-hmm. And so like they kind of felt bad for me, and so I was like, well, it does, but I also kind of milked it, right? Because I was like, oh, when I was in a hospital.
The word you're looking for is manipulated it.
So I milked it, and I was like, yeah, like, you know, they had got me on these meds, and which, I mean, they were giving me, and like I literally told the doctor, I was like, listen, like I'm an addict, and the nurse is hooking me up to an IV, and as soon as she pressed down, I said, what was that? And he said, Dilaudid. And I said, I just told you I'm an addict. He said, don't worry, you ain't gonna make it out of here. You know what I mean? And so like every time I went to the hospital,
double me up.
Yeah, every time I went
tell me I'm not leaving. You gotta double me up.
Every time I went to the hospital, they were shooting me up, right? But because at that point I had like 3 years clean, was not working any sort of a program whatsoever, was in a relationship with a normal person. I was living with Mitch, so that tells you everything you need to know, right?
I love him, dude.
Yeah. And we were dating sisters. They were both normies, right? And wasn't going to meetings, wasn't talking to anybody in recovery, like wasn't doing anything for my recovery.
Life gets too busy sometimes.
Yeah, and you know, it led to the relapse because I became complacent, and I finally get through being sick. They figure out what's wrong with me. They get me on the right meds. I'm good. And I tell people all the time, right? Like, I don't care what your higher power is. I don't care what you believe in, as long as you believe in something. But whatever higher power, there is a lower power. There is a yin to that yang that is working twice as hard, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, I make it out the other end of this, and I'm like, I can't believe it, right? And I'm working with this dude who knows my story, knows my background, and his dad passed away. And he was like, listen, dude, like, I know you're not in the game anymore, but like I have like 180 oxys. I don't know what to do with. I don't even know what the street value is. And I played with that for 2 days, dude. And I actually called Boston Chuck, and I told him. He was the only person I told because I knew he was in Boston and he wasn't here, right? And he was like,
that's valid, dude.
He's like, you need to go to a meeting and you need to share about it, dude. And you need to talk to your support group. I didn't have one.
Mitch.
And And I was like, all right, cool. And then at lunch one day, I said, I can get you $300 for all 180 of them. He said, for real? He said, I'll go get them at lunch. I said, all right. And that led, that started the relapse. And that lasted for about 6 months. And then, craziest thing happened. Like, I went to rehab voluntarily, right? Well, I went to detox voluntarily, and then I talked Mitch into dropping my paycheck off at detox so I could get supplies for when I went to rehab, and then went on a run for another 2 weeks, right? Until that money was gone, and then I was ready.
Yeah,
you know
of
what I
course.
mean?
Yeah, I'm not. If I got money, I'm not ready.
Yeah, and
Got errands to run.
but they, I would say I was honest with them, but the truth is they said, hey, we noticed this Cadillac's coming up and parking on the side of the building like 3 times a day. We don't know what's going on, but it don't look good. And I'm like, all right, listen, here's the deal. Like, I'm in bad shape, and I need help. And so I went to rehab, and they paid me the whole time, right? But there's something, I think women by nature, but especially women in recovery, they love a broken man.
Oh yeah.
They love the charity case. You know what I mean? Oh, no car, no license, no problem.
I can fix him.
Yes, right?
He's moldable. He's like at the ground level. You know what we could do with this? No, not realizing that, bro, you've put me on a pedestal now.
Yeah.
You can't tell me shit. Because I haven't figured out, because now she is going to take care of things.
Yeah.
And what do I need to fix now?
I know, dude. And so it's I was just talking to somebody about this. I'm like, I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, help me understand this, right? Just for my own sanity. Like, what is it about this individual that, like, you're attracted to? Like, help me understand that, right? Because it doesn't make sense.
What'd they say? Now I'm curious.
And they
I've never asked this question.
They said, right, he's broken, and I can fix him and turn him in to the man that I want, right? And I said, okay, but why not just go after a man that's already fixed, that's already what you like, that already has these things? That way you don't have to go through that stuff. And she's like, yeah, no.
It's not as fun.
Right? It's not.
I mean, do you buy a Lego set that's already put together? Like, that's really what we're talking about here. Everybody, the enjoyment is putting the Lego set together and then looking at the finished product.
That's probably the best analogy I've ever heard in regards to that situation.
So here's the thing, though, and this is what I've come to realize, that a lot of differences between men and women, but men fall in love with the woman. Women fall in love with the idea of the man, on what he can be and what he will be. And then in 6 months or a year, be like, well, you didn't fix it. Well, nobody said I was gonna.
Yeah.
Like, this is who I am. I'm 35 years old. Right? Like, I'll do my best, but you came around for who I am now. We didn't talk about, all right, here's the procedures here, like at work, like we need you to fix this and change this and pick this up.
Well, I always found it surprising because we know of a lot of failed marriages in recovery, right? And the sentiment amongst the women is always the same, right? Like, oh, well, he wasn't like deep. He wasn't emotional. He wasn't, willing to talk about feelings. He wasn't. And I'm like, yeah, but I've known that dude longer than you. He ain't never been like that.
Never did.
He ain't never. So, like, but that's exactly, what it is. It's the idea. You know what I mean? Which is, in my opinion, a terrible reason to get into a relationship
100%.
with somebody. Like, you should want to be with a healthy individual. And I mean, every human, recovery or not, has flaws and has defects of character. You know what I mean? But I think that the goal should try to be to get with somebody who's as healthy as possible.
That's what you think.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But recovery is one of those crazy things, especially when you're in a new relationship. You know what I mean? Because they can do no wrong. Like, it's the butterflies. It's the, everything's wonderful. And then, 6 months or a year into it, you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yep.
Like, this is crazy.
Yep.
This is crazy. So, Well, I appreciate you coming on, dude.
Of course.
It's been a blast. Learned a lot. This is the part where we do the thumbnail.
Okay.
So this is basically how this is going to go. I'm going to tell a story, okay? And at the end of the story, when I say go, whatever face you want to make, you make, right?
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we just had Roger Storm on, right? And the story I told was because Roger was talking about the Mennonites, and I talked about he just hit a family of Mennonites leaving their Dutchman parking lot in his big truck, right? And I don't know if you saw the thumbnail, but and I just asked Luke about this. Luke did this.
Yeah.
I said, why is that the fate? We just run over a family of Amish people, and the whole Amish community is about to attack us, and that's the face you make? So anything...
Hold on, real quick, though.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the joy of being Amish your whole life, and then, was it Rumspringa?
Yeah.
Where then all of a sudden, like, it's wide open?
Oh, bro, Luke and I had talked about that on an episode. I cannot... My thing, right, and maybe it's just because I'm not that spiritual, but I don't know if I could go back.
Nah. Yeah, never see me again.
Like, wait, I gotta wear these boring ass clothes. You can't never look fresh.
Made out of
you ain't
potato
never
sacks.
Listen, and this is no disrespect, even though this is about to be really disrespectful. You have never once looked at an Amish dude and been like, Dan, that's a sharp looking dude. Never
No.
once. Never once.
But I'll say this, though. If they got a beard, that means they found somebody to marry them. Isn't that? I think that's how it works.
Yeah. The longer the beard, the longer they've been married.
Yep. I don't
Yeah.
think they shave it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but how do
Shave
you,
that thing off, dude.
how do you go back? How do you go back?
Nah, you would never see me again, bro. Yeah, you can catch me. I'll be on Facebook. If y'all ever leave, you can hit me up on there. Other than that, I'm out of here.
Yo, we know somebody, and I'll tell you off air, that grew up Amish, that like left, and like family disowned them.
Yeah, you're gone.
Yeah, no, you're done.
Yeah, it's over with.
Yeah, yeah. So we know somebody. Remind me, I'll tell you.
It's
after.
essentially like a really wholesome cult.
Yeah.
Like if you disrespect the cult, you got to go
Yeah.
forever.
But I don't know how you get that taste of free. That's like, go ahead and lock me up in jail. When you open that door, like, I'm not coming back.
No, yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like put me back into the 1800s in the wild, wild west, and then like shoot me over here, and it's like, would you like to go back there? Like, no, it's gonna be a hard pass, dude.
All right, so I'm going to tell this story, and then when I say go, you just make whatever face you look at the camera. So go ahead and push your mic to the side. I'm going to have the mic because I'm telling the story, but get ready, okay? So, you're about to get married again. That's not the story, okay? That's not the end of the story, although that probably should have been it because that would have been a good thumbnail right there.
She's amazing.
Yeah. No, you got a good one. You got a good one. You got a good one.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead and flip that.
Yeah, we're going
Flip
to.
that out, you know what I mean?
We're going to. So,
Beat my ass.
yeah, you're about to get married, right? And you want a bachelor trip in Vegas, right? So all of us head out to Vegas, okay? And it's our last night.
So hold up, who's going though? It
Me,
changes in Vegas.
you, Aunt, Lucas, your whole crew from down south. Like, I mean, we're like 15, 20 deep.
Okay.
Okay. And it's our last night. Okay. Wedding's tomorrow. Okay. We're literally flying back. You're getting married the next night in Sarasota. Okay. So this is our last night. It's about 2:00 in the morning. I'm so tired. I should have been asleep like 4 hours ago, right?
This actually exactly happened. I've had this trip. I wasn't getting married, but I had this trip. You're explaining what. Go ahead. I swear.
And we go to a gentleman's club, right? Typical, par for the course. And, having fun, conversating with some dancers of the female variety. I assume that's what you do at a gentleman's club. I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
And, you know, the whole point is we're just trying to get everybody back in one piece, dude. That's it. You know what I mean? Because you saw what happened last time. A bunch of dudes went out to Vegas for a bachelor trip.
I made it back safe.
You did.
I picked up cigarettes, but that was the worst.
Yeah. And so, you know, everybody's good. You know, we're all having a good time, drinking our Red Bulls, and having a good time. And then we notice Ants disappeared. Okay.
That place.
We assume he's in the back, probably getting a private dance, right?
What's that?
But I saw it in a movie one time.
Okay.
Apparently, like, you can like pay a stripper some money and she takes you back in like this room and like just does a dance. I don't know. I seen it on a movie or something. So we don't think anything of it, right? 3 o'clock rolls around. 4 a.m. rolls around. You know, we got a flight at 8 a.m. And you look at me and you're like, dude, I haven't seen Ant in like 2 hours. And I'm like, yeah, man, we got to find him, right? We got to look for him. And so we start talking to
For the record, I have a different story in another situation like this, and that happened as well. I swear to you. I'll tell them to y'all.
Okay.
I have both of these.
Okay.
Pretty accurate, dude. It's wild.
And so, you know, we start talking to some of these fine performers, you know, trying to locate our friend, right? And we get word that he left like an hour and a half ago with a couple of the dancers, okay? And so now we got to try to find him. Because now we're almost in panic mode because we got to get back. He's part of the wedding crew, you know what I mean? Like, we have a flight in a couple hours. Like, we have no idea, you know what I mean, what's going on. And they tell us to go to this one hotel. So we go to this hotel, and somehow he's in the penthouse, right? Which you have to get access to the penthouse. You know what I mean? You can't just, you know. And so we're trying to talk to hotel personnel. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying everything. We're blowing up his phone. Of course, his phone's going straight to voicemail. It's dead, or he turned it off.
Probably turned it off.
Yeah, and it just so happens we see a pizza delivery guy, right, with about 13 pizzas. And we're like, where are you going? He said, the penthouse. And we're like, we need to come with you. He said, nah, I can't do that. So we slide him some money, and we're riding this elevator up, okay, to the penthouse. We have no idea what we're about to walk into, what type of shenanigans. And the elevator opens. I'm going to paint the scene of the penthouse for you first, okay? The penthouse, if the elevators were to open, it's like a massive living room, and there's glass everywhere. And then right outside on the balcony is a massive pool, okay? And again, at this point, it's 5 a.m., okay? We have to be to the airport in an hour. And the elevator door opens, and for some reason, there's just a bunch of half-naked women. I have no idea why. You know what I mean? We weren't there, but, you know, this is where our friend supposedly is. We don't see a guy at all anywhere. We have no idea what's going on. We're asking these fine human beings, have you... Yep. Have you seen our friend? Have you seen our friend? Oh, yeah, he's around here somewhere. Have you seen our friend? Oh, yeah, he's around here somewhere. And we look out on the pool, and there has to be at least 20 naked women in this pool, okay? And we hear cannonball, and we look, and we see Ant in nothing but his birthday suit and a rubber ducky inflatable ring, right? Doing a cannonball in the middle of all these naked women. You ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, go. Perfect. All right, man. I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
This is a good conversation.
Fun.
We love you guys. Make sure you follow us everywhere. Like, share, subscribe. Patrons, thank you so much for hanging out with us on this Friday evening. We love you guys as always. And we'll see you next time. Burn the ships.